Welcome to Bridging the Gap to Connections, the talk show, where we begin by sharing your stories and spotlighting your shine. Hello, welcome back to Bridging the Gap to Connections. This is Darla Williams here. I'm the host, and today I am bringing back Miss Karol Brown Jones, recently married, so she's got a change in her name. She is back on today, and today we want to dive into a little bit about the L3. And I'm just going to stop right there and call it the L3 because I know I could talk about it, but I know that Miss Karol is going to bring so much more education to it, what she's doing and why she's doing what she's doing. I just recently had her on the show to feature her for her recent launch of a book that she just did. So we'll talk about that too, and a couple other things along the way. But I really want to dive today into what she does as a coach, because she has something that is so amazing that I think that if you sit down and listen in today, you're going to actually walk away with some true value. Miss Karol, thank you so much for coming back onto the show. I appreciate you being here today. So I want to ask you, how has the launch gone? How are you doing?
Hi, Darla. Thank you so much for having me here. And I appreciate you so much for sharing my story a little bit before the launch. And now to come and tell you it was a great success. I think the people who were there enjoyed it. We had my Earth Angels were truly beautiful people that shared what they're doing. I had people talking about um, the period what is it called? Period poverty, where the young girls in Africa particularly are have no money for supplies during their cycle. And so this cup, this newfangled thing, this is just a period cup that they can use and reuse. That was beautiful. And everybody had something to share that as I talk about in the book, how the synchronicities of how we all came together, and also how each of us are doing something out of passion. And that was the main thing. And how that is the bind that brings us together and unifies all of what we have to do to help each other, bridging the gap like you did.
When you had us on there, I was so privileged to come in and get to listen in on your launch. I had such a good time. I mean, the love that was shared between so many souls that came in. I mean, there's real, true connection, Karol, that you have. And I want you to know that. There's times we talk to people every day, but there's not always a true connection. And when I got to sit with you and the group of people that you are actually is surrounded by, the embodiment that you are surrounded by is actually just full of life, love, and true passion for the world around them. It's not just about what they're doing and why they're doing it. They're literally giving back. I got to hear so many different stories of different people. So I want you to make sure that you send me the link to that so I can attach it to this one so people can go and watch that launch, because it was just so beautiful and it needs to be shared and get that information out there because there was so much love that is being given to the world. So, Karol, tell me a little bit about how you got into coaching. Where did you come into coaching?
Well, I guess it comes from being a dietitian for 40 years and counseling patients. That was a big part of my position. It was on one-on-one counseling in an outpatient clinic setting and inpatient too, but mostly outpatient, and then educating patients and in groups. I used to manage a weight loss program. So that was weekly groups with people in one-on-one counseling to help them find the answers to how they can make their life healthier, their change some changes in their life that could result in the weight loss that they wanted to achieve. So being someone who's been trained over years, not just through my education, but through my con- continuing practice of trying to find out what people need and helping them find a way to achieve those goals, setting small goals and finding ways to take some baby steps to reach what they want, those type of things. So that transitions to me now trying to help people look inside of themselves and find that self-love, that spark. That's what I'm all about. Help people find that spark of love because it's there. And that's so important. That's now to me is the most important thing. When people realize who they are and that they can draw from their own talents and gifts from inside and joy and happiness and let that reflect on the outside. I think that's the most important thing I can do right now.
I love what you're saying there, that you went from being someone that has been in the field with dietitian, being there to make sure that people are taking care of their health, taking care of their wealth, of their self. So you've
Yes.
already been there looking into the finer details of how to, take care of the inner part of our being. Now, not only just the physical side of it, you're now diving into the psychological side of it, the mental side of it. You're helping people to develop a sense of probably worth, empowerment, joy, and love within. So, with that, tell us a little bit about, well, what is the name of your coaching company or your organization?
So my overall name is Harriet Tubman, Love, Leadership, and Legacy Coach. So SHT3LC is what I go by. Under there, I have programs, different programs. The programs GG United by Love, which is my podcast and my newsletter. And that's designed to focus on grandmothers mostly or women 50 and older. But my other program is for the girls, and that's Girls United by Love, and that's taking my my curriculum in the Harriet Tubman way, the inspirational guide to self-love, empowerment, and legendary leadership for girls. That's a book, but it's also a curriculum, and taking that program to girls in 10 age 10 and up, basically. But the lessons are for all age girls and women to be reflective into who they are, like you said, their worthiness, self-love, compassion, trusting themselves, their intuition. One thing, darling, that I have now that I didn't have when I was practicing as a dietitian coaching people is the understanding of our energy and how we all are energy and that so I have most recently, a couple of years ago, taken the emotion code training, which is learning that trapped energy can be the reason that we have dis-ease. And so now when I talk to people, I'm not just talking about the physical health and habits, but the inside trapped energy or emotions that may be blocking them from moving forward in what they want to do in life or achieve the goals they want to achieve. So I become not as traditional on my counseling and nutrition as I was before. It's more wellness and spirituality.
So you have become holistic. over the years.
I'm
Have
holistic,
found a
yes.
holistic world and dove deeper into the fact that we are energy beings. Here we are as energy. We're growing and developing as energy. We flow in that matter of who we are. Energy and emotion are one and the same. Energy and emotion are one and the same, and most people don't realize that. What we're doing is when we're feeling, if we're feeling low, or if we're feeling bad, or if we're feeling mad, sad, or angry, all of those things are the expression of the energy that lives within us. When we have those moments, we're going through. So, say, like for myself personally, I can really give an example here for you to help others to hear what she's working with. Is so somebody like myself, I've been through severe trauma in my energetic being, in my energetic body. When I am put into a system that reads my energy, it tells my coach, someone like Karol, that it says that somewhere in my system, I'm still being abused because there is an energetic memory forevermore. Because once energy has been experienced, it stays forevermore. So it's in there. Now, I also have, when they do my reading, I have a whole nother side of it where it says that I'm at complete rest. And then I have what comes to the middle where I have complete balance. And I have what is considered an enlightened experience, which has brought me to peace. When we are out of balance, when we don't have that in ability to actually understand the spiritual experience behind why we have to go through what we're going through, our energies are still going to be moving in whichever direction until we find balance. And what Karol is talking about is what she's doing now is helping you to find that space within yourself and begin finding your way to peace and healing through your journey that brings you to true enlightenment within yourself so that you can rise into the higher self and be able to live your fullness of life. What a beautiful thing you're actually doing, being able to work with people in that energetic world. You know, that is a really, really great gift that is available for people in the world. I am intuitively strong in that. I do that naturally. I don't have to use there's machines we can use. There's one called Healy. There's a couple other ones. I forgot the name of them, but there's actual systems we can use to actually help read what's going on with each individual and see a framework of their entire unified field. So do you use any equipment so that you can read your clients?
I use the emotion code, which they teach you how to do muscle testing and use your own body
Mm-hmm.
to. I use a little like that, but I have used like a pendulum to use that too. But another thing is that what you're saying is important. That people don't realize this. This is esoteric knowledge. People don't, in general, the big um, population of people don't understand or haven't heard about how our emotions are a big part of who we are and why we are living the way we are, where we are happy or not happy, where we're constantly feeling stressed out or sick. And I think what I'm really trying to do, like with my guests on on my podcast and my newsletter, is to open people's minds to realize that there is things out there that they need to learn about and how it can help them because it takes each one of us to work on ourselves. That's the thing. It's not outside. It's all inside. And when you take the time to look inside and see what the issues are. And like you said, there are many different ways to release those energies, or I would say energies or emotions. There's different ways to release them, But first, you have to realize that they need to be released. So
Where are they stored in the body? Why are they stored in there? How do we get there? That's where you come in, Carol. You're helping us to guide us through being able to identify ourselves and say, oh, I have stuck energy here, I have stuck energy there, and doing the clearings and the other things that are necessary out there. It is so exciting to meet other people who do understand energy. That is a major part in everything. One of the things that, I really do love, I don't talk a whole lot about it generally, but when I hear somebody else who knows, I definitely dive in and love the fact that I get to connect. Carol, so when you're talking about working with the grandmothers in your arena with finding love, I can honestly say that sometimes, because of experiences and generational things and different things like that, how many people, I mean, maybe not having an exact number, but how often do you find that those women that are the ones with the wisdom and the growth and everything else that are really, really needing the love?
it's very common, actually, when, like, if you go into a facility where there's primary, like 55 plus people who live there. I've lived in several of them, and people who might be isolated, that don't have family coming in. They're not up on technology. They don't even know how to use their phone well. So if you think about that picture right there, there's many women who are not remembering who they are not feeling the joy that they could be feeling if they remember they're worthy, if they remember that they are, connected to God, and that they have purpose still. If you're here, you're still here. There's something that you're still able to do, and so it's too many. Actually, if you look at the statistics, is loneliness is a epidemic, not just in women but men and older age. I say 50 up, but most 50-year-old women are still pretty active. But when we get into the 70s, like I am, there is many, many women who need to hear that, yes, you still have things that you can do. You are worthy. Your wisdom is so important that you share your stories. And that's what I'm really trying to pull out of people, including myself. This book, Get on Board the New Underground Railroad, is part memoir, where I found the courage to share some of my personal stories along with Harriet Tubman's journey, because through sharing her journey, people can see the end results of someone who acted in love, someone who had the courage, someone who had the compassion to do what she did. Didn't make her rich, but it left a legacy of love that we're still talking about. A lady who was born in 1821, who was a slave, who died in 1913, and we're still talking about her. That is a legacy. And just imagine what we can do today that someone's going to be talking about 100 years from now. That's what I want to bring out of our grandmothers while we're still here. That's the
Exactly.
important thing. While we're still here, yes, that's the only way that we're going to be able to pass it on.
The reason I asked that question is I know that people listening in sometimes they're like, oh, well, maybe it's not for me. I'm too old for this, or I've already done things. I've already been there, my time's coming to an end. And the reason why I asked the question was because I want people to understand no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, you have a reason to be here. If you woke up this morning and you have breath in your lungs, there's a purpose somewhere. It is just you finding what it is that brings you back to life. We all have it. It's where we get disconnected sometimes and we forget. So I know that with what Carol's doing, she's really bringing life back into people's lives. So talking about the that part of it, I want to ask now, when you're working with like the grandbabies, when you're working with the grandkids or the young women in this, what you're helping them do, you know, how are they receptive to what you're bringing?
Young people love when people will come and well, they get a little gift. They get a little. My workshops, I like to give a gift box. The gift box, I talk about it at the. If your people watch the video, the book, a mirror, a scarf with affirmations. So you're giving them something that they get excited about. Everyone loves to get little gifts, but then you're giving them a chance to talk to have them express. So my books have each chapter is very short, a story about Harriet Tubman, and then some questions to think about, some discussion questions. So the first chapter on my book, The Harriet Tubman Way, Inspirational Guide, the first chapter is a quote from Queen Latifah, which most girls know who Queen Latifah is and can appreciate hearing from her. So each chapter starts with a quote from someone. And so she said, when I was around 18, I looked in the mirror and said, you're either going to love yourself or hate yourself. And I decided to love myself. And that changed a lot of things. So then at the end of the chapter, I asked questions about Queen Latifah as well as Harriet Tubman, and then reflection questions for yourself. Do you make a choice to be? Um, on this particular chapter, we listened to Queen Latifah's song that she put out some 20 something years ago, UNITY. And UNITY was a song about her recognizing that women were not getting the respect that they should be getting from guys. And but she also sang that song, I think it's 2014 at the Nobel Peace Prize program. But it had a different twist. It was now unity of all us together. And so we talk about that. We talk about the first video and the second video and what that means to young ladies and themselves, how they respect themselves. Do you want to be called out your name? That respect is something that's very important. And so, yeah, they get into it. They get a chance to be creative. I like to have them do either, if they have time, a vision board or some kind of board to express what they are learning in the process of learning about Harriet Tubman and someone else. And I show them that this is about them too. This is just a way to get them to thinking about themselves and their connection, who's been their earth angels in the world and things like that. So yeah, I enjoy it and they enjoy it.
So tell the people a little bit about what is the 3 L's.
Love, leadership, and legacies. And the leadership is servant leadership. So I like to explain to people what servant leadership is, and that Harriet Tubman is an example of servant leadership. So Robert K. Greenleaf coined that phrase in the 70s, where it talks about people who are all about helping other people, serving. They're in total service. They're committed to service, like Harriet Tubman was committed to helping people get their freedom. And that led her into being a leader. So she became the leader that got these people out of freedom, out of bondage into freedom. And that way of her leading was still compassionate. It still was leading people to a better life. It was helping them, not putting more pressure, negative pressure on them. It was all positive energy to get them where they needed to be so they can live their best lives. That's servant leadership. The legacy It's like I mentioned with Harriet Tubman, the fact that we're still talking about her is because something that she did. And I want to piggyback on talking about if you're still here and still breathing, you have something to do. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and do some fantastic write up of in the paper what you did. No, it could be smiling to your neighbor today because you don't know what somebody else is feeling and having going on, and that your smile, your prayer that you don't even they don't have to know that you're praying about them. All that does matter. And that's important for people to realize. If you're still here, your prayers are still being answered. So don't stop it. Don't stop it. Your angels just, and I let people know, again, this is something I've learned since I've studied more. Angels need you to ask for help, but they're there to help you, but you have to ask for it. And so just keep that in mind. That could be what you are still here for, to get the help that you need, the help for somebody else. And that is very, very important. So that's leaving a legacy.
I love what you are doing. It's all based around, obviously, love. When love
Yes.
becomes the core of who we are, everything seems to come into alignment. And I enjoy others who are teaching love because isn't that what we're all commissioned to do anyways, is to love one another. And if we all love one another, is going to literally stop so much in life. The things that we don't want to experience can be transmuted through the act of love. So how can we, give us some suggestions, Carol? How can we begin a journey into love? How do we begin that?
Some people don't shy away from meditation, but meditation is always a good way to start. But just sitting quiet in nature or something that's not disturbing you, music, some soft music, uh, a scenery, watching some type of scenic in video or something like that. But it's all about thinking of yourself, asking yourself the question, but you need to do it in a peaceful, reflective way, you know, where you're not disturbed. And listen, journaling is a good thing to do, and gratitude. Write it down. Count your blessings. Be grateful every day. Count them every day. Um, I study A Course in Miracles, that really thick book. It's hard to get to and understand. So I have an app that has it on there, which is really helpful because I can listen to it and reflect to it. And I'm in a section of it, which I mentioned in my new book, Get on Board the New Underground Railroad, where it's telling us how important it is that God wants us to be happy, that it's important to forgive. And it's also telling us, it's suggesting that reflect on these things for 5 minutes every hour, every waking hour. Think about, say a little prayer. Say, I'm grateful at this time. And after a while, you start feeling it. You may not have felt it at first, but you start feeling it, and you start attracting positive energy to you. And that's another thing, the laws of attraction. You start attracting who you are. So if you are someone who is lonely and you don't have any friends or your relatives aren't calling, change your own thought system about yourself. Be happy. Find the things you're happy. Do the things you're happy. Crocheting, writing, painting, poetry. These are just some things. It could be whatever makes you happy. Baking, making bread, whatever makes you feel good. Hold on to that. And the more you hold on to that, it reflects on who you are, and that reflects on who comes to you in your life. So the laws of attraction is all about bringing more of who you are. Gratitude, being grateful, brings more things to be grateful for. So I'm sure these are things that you share all the time, but this is what I also share.
No, that's why I asked. I mean, the reason why I asked is because people need to hear where they're going to get what they're going to receive when they come to you. The opportunities, how you're going to help them to expand, where they're going to be going next, what is going to be the opportunity. You are looking to expand people in a leadership, that service leadership. You're looking at helping them to expand their personal love and being able to help them to leave a legacy behind so that they will be always remembered. Isn't that what all of us really do want? To be seen, heard, and understood. And that is something, Carol, that you do just with a big heart, just openly saying, be seen, be heard, and be understood. And you make that way for people. And I really got to see that at the launch, and how you just, here's a moment, here's your pride and joy. You're standing in this precipice of this grand launch, and you are such a service, to the world itself. You're going, here, let me share with you my angels. Go look at these people. And as someone just getting the chance to come meet you and to see that, I got to see the genuine love you have for others. Because when we can step into that service and that leadership that you have, you're literally opening the opportunity for others to finally find a place that they feel welcomed. And I felt welcomed in your launch. I felt like I found a place I belonged. And with the fact that you're talking about unity, using Queen Latifah and talking about unity in itself, this is something that if we all begin to work together. What I loved what you did at the end is, what is it that we were supposed to say out loud with you? Can you repeat what you said, that we're so that we can come into the Underground Railroad with you, and what you're doing to bring, what is it that we're supposed to speak out and
One
share?
of the affirmations, yeah, it's one of the affirmations that I had everyone say is, I am Harriet Tubman. And this image behind me of Harriet Tubman, I shared that this was painted by my daughter, Adia. Adia passed away in 23 from cancer, but this image is her legacy, one of her legacies. This image is one of her legacies, the paintings and so many others. And I had people say, I am Harriet Tubman, and and thinking about what that means. Who is she? Who was she? What stood out for her? What qualities in Harriet Tubman do we admire today? That love for her, first herself. That's why I use Harriet Tubman. I say she could not have done what she did if she didn't first love herself, because she had to be believed that she was worthy to be free. She's a little slave girl, third generation slave, in a place where hope was not to be found unless you found it from inside. And so she held on that she loved herself, and that compassion and love for others was part of who she was. Her courage, her ability to forgive all of the people that had harmed her through her life, to just those qualities that we admire in Harriet Tubman. When we say, I am Harriet Tubman, I am Harriet Tubman, I am Harriet Tubman, you are feeding your soul with those same qualities that you take forth and do what you came to do.
I truly appreciated that moment and the backstories and different things. Carol, I truly have completely appreciated your time. I do know that we're coming into the end of the hour. Is there anything that you would absolutely love for the audience to know that you couldn't, if tomorrow didn't come and you could leave one lasting word today, what would that word be for others to hear?
We are all here because God sent us here to be who we are. And the greatest gift that He gave us was being unique, authentic, who you are. And that's what you're here to be, who you are naturally. And the way you know that is because it feels good. It feels joyful. It feels peaceful and happy to be who you are. And so I found that for a period of time in my life, I wasn't feeling that freedom. And it was only after I, in the book, I talk about my years of domestic violence and how only after I was able to leave that situation did I really find what self love was all about and how important it is to be me. And the greatest gift I have right now is to feeling free, free to express who I am and full out, full out. And that to me is my self love, and my self love helps me love others. And that's what's important for all of us to do. And we all can do that.
Thank you so much, Carol. I truly, truly appreciate connecting with you anytime I get to. For everyone else out there, there will be links in the description. Make sure that you watch, share, and subscribe to the channel, but make sure that you also go and get connected. There's going to be different links. She has a newsletter and other options that are going to be available in description so that you can get connected. And I'm going to see about getting the link for her launch so you can hear more about the book, because I'm telling you what she has put together by bringing out her own personal story, but also what she shares in the Underground Railroad through Harriet Tubman's story will totally really transform your life and bring you to a place that there isn't any reason that we can't all be united through love. This is Darla Williams here, signing off until next time. Bye for now.